Hey, what is up, everybody? Hope you guys are having a fantastic day today. I don't usually do videos like this that are this lengthy, but I just wanted to just brag on God a little bit. I felt like He had placed something in my heart that just wanted to share. It's just something that He's been showing me throughout the years, just different situations, and I just wanted to share it, and hopefully it can be a great encouragement to y'all as well. So I'll just share my testimony a little bit, and it all has to do with the importance of stepping out of our comfort zones to do what God has called us to do. So in the Bible, in Jeremiah 29:11, it talks about how God has just great plans for us, that He has a great purpose for us. And so we know that God has placed every single one of us on this earth for a reason. Nobody is here by accident. We've been placed on the earth for a reason, and God has great plans, and they're plans that are better than anything that we could ever imagine. And so over time, He just wants to lead us and guide us into those plans and give us that direction of what He wants us to do with our lives. And so at a young age, I knew that music was something that I was feeling pulled more and more in the direction of. And I'm gonna be honest, at the time at first, I didn't really want to do that. I didn't want to do music. And I'm not even sure what the real reason for that was. I think a large part of it was the fact that I was involved with sports, and I was like, sports is what I want to do as I grow older. I want to get into professional sports, be a professional athlete, and that's what I want to do with my life. And I think it was more of a fantasy versus me actually wanting to go there, but that's what I wanted to do. And so as I felt God pulling me more and more in the direction of music, it was a little uncomfortable, because I was like, that's not really something I want to do. Because I started playing piano at a young age, but just, starting off playing classical music and things. And so as I started becoming more and more involved in church in middle school, I felt God leading me to join the praise and worship team. I mean, at that time, I was not at all comfortable with getting outside of my comfort zone. It was horrible. It was the most uncomfortable thing. And just the thought of that, man, heart would start racing, start to get nervous. I'm just like, there is no way I'm going to do that. And so it's just been cool that how God has, when He wants to tell me something, that He's just put people in my lives and they just keep reaffirming the same thing over and over and over. And God can reach us in many different ways, but that's just been one of the main ways that He's reached me, and just do different people affirming what I told you. This person's gonna tell you this, and then this person tells you the exact same thing, and it's like, maybe Edison will get it eventually. But so that's how He started reaching me. So that's what was happening. Different people, they were just saying, God was just telling me to join the youth worship team, join the youth worship team, join the worship team. And I was shooting it down. I was like, there is no way, that's not something I want to do. And yes, like, the fact that I was telling God no is an issue, but that's how uncomfortable I was. Like, I was prioritizing my comfort level over what God wanted. And eventually God was just like, again, revealing through different people, He was like, I have called you to different things. I have plans for you in your life. But in order to do that, you're going to have to get used to being uncomfortable, because what I have for you is not always going to be comfortable for you. And so that is like, wow, like, that's wild. And even hearing that, man, I still did not want to join the youth worship team, because just the thought of being on stage with that many people looking at you, it's like, oh man, like this sounds terrible. Like, this sounds awful. I don't know what to do with this, which is kind of ironic, because worship music is not about you, it's about God. But that's how I was feeling. I was like, I know that we're gonna be worshiping God. I know that the music is all about bringing glory to Him, and this isn't a concert. People aren't here to look at you. But at the same time, though, just the thought of being on stage in front of people like that was just extremely nerve-wracking. And so eventually the time came. Again, I was just shooting it down. I was like, I'm not gonna join the youth worship team. I don't feel comfortable with that whatsoever, in the slightest. And so the time eventually came where one Sunday, our normal piano player for the youth worship, they couldn't make it. And our youth worship pastor, he walks off the stage, comes directly to me where I'm out there playing basketball or something, and he says, our normal pianist could not make it. You're up. And I was like, what? Like, this is the Sunday morning before, like, we're 30 minutes out from playing this set live. I'm not ready. Like, I'm not ready. I don't know what I'm doing. And they're like, you're up, let's go. So I had no choice in the matter. I got up there and we just went ahead and did it. And I don't even remember how it went. I don't think it went terribly, actually. Like, I think it was like, after playing, it was like, that actually wasn't so terrible. Which, isn't that kind of funny how that works when it comes to our comfort zone? Usually, our minds will paint the worst picture of stepping outside of our comfort zones. Like, our minds will tell us, don't do this. This is going to be the worst thing ever. You don't want to do this. You're going to regret this later. But usually, don't things usually turn out to be not as bad as we thought they would be? And that's how it was playing piano for worship too. And so that was my first official Sunday of playing for the youth worship team. And so that set off, I officially joined the team and just started playing more and more with more consecutively on Sundays on a normal schedule. And so that was fun. It was definitely learned a lot about how, youth worship works. Because up to that point, I had never been involved with worship before. And so playing piano for worship for the first time, there was definitely a learning experience. Things that happened in worship that I didn't know happened, things I didn't expect. But just settling into that and getting more comfortable with that was a really cool experience. So I started settling into the youth worship team, just playing piano. And it eventually was like, this isn't that bad. Like, I started getting more comfortable with it. I started getting more settled in. And it was like, this isn't bad. I can get used to this. And then God told me the words, and I'll never forget this, but he told me the words, get used to being uncomfortable. And it was like, whoa, what? Hold on, let's talk about this for just a second. God, I feel like I've stepped out and done what you called me to do. I joined the youth worship team. I'm playing piano now. Like, I don't really want the uncomfortable stuff. And he's like, get used to being uncomfortable. And so I found that to be so true throughout my life. It's probably happened in multiple other people's lives too. But when he calls us to step outside of our comfort zone, what he did for me was he'll call me into one thing, and then I'll step out. It's uncomfortable at first, and then we'll settle into it and get used to it. And it's like, okay, we're okay now. And then I'll call you something else, step up to the next level. And it's like, okay, get over the fear, step out. It feels uncomfortable at first, but then you'll step out, and then you settle into that, and then get used to that, and you're like, okay, I feel okay now. And then he's like, now step out again, next level, here we go. And that's been the story. That's been the story of my life, to be honest. It's just like, that's what's been going on. And so just getting used to being uncomfortable, he was not playing. Like, this is what's been going on. And so just getting used to that, just getting used to being uncomfortable is something that can really help us, because the more we do it, the easier it gets. And so that's how it was. I got used to being on the worship team and playing piano. And then he started calling me to step out into different areas, like learning more about music. So that pattern continued, just stepping out, getting comfortable, stepping out, getting comfortable. And I got used to that. I got used to being uncomfortable, which was good, because I feel like that's what God, called me to do in the first place. And then came one of the biggest challenges, the biggest step outs in faith, the biggest, most uncomfortable thing that I had probably ever had up to that date. Was after high school graduation is when God told me to move states, move away from family and friends, and attend another Bible school in a different state that I had never even been in before. And he wanted me to do that in order to continue pursuing music education. And guys, that was challenging. That was challenging to do, just moving away from everything that was familiar and stepping into what I felt like God was leading me in. And so it wasn't easy. And I'm not gonna act like it was, but I was also excited too, because I feel like God gave me the desire to want to move there, because that's where he wanted me to be. And so I feel like it was just a supernatural desire. But guys, let me tell you, it was so worth it. It was worth the knowledge that I gained in pursuing music education there was way better than anything that I ever thought would happen. It was fantastic. And so learning what I learned there and taking it into the music that I do now, it was, I don't take for granted. It was so valuable. And so just doing that, guys, that's one of the biggest things of when God tells you to do something, even when it's challenging, even when it's uncomfortable. Just know that it's going to be worth it, because God, he's perfect. His plans are way better than anything that we could ever dream. And so when we step out into what he has and pursue him wholeheartedly, that's when we'll discover the plans that he has, the purposes that he has, just those just living in the faith in him, just putting all our trust in him, and just living in those full blessings that he has for us. It's so worth it. And I cannot stress that enough. And even joining the worship team at the new Bible school that I was at, that was a step out too, because God, I feel like he wanted me to join that, and again, I stepped back into that temptation of feeling uncomfortable and not wanting to leave my comfort zone. And my parents, they told me, they said, you need to step out. You need to step out. This is what God has wanted you to do. And so I stepped out, and again, it was worth it. Of course, not all was perfect. I wasn't perfect in everything. I made mistakes sometimes. We all make mistakes sometimes. But the important thing is that even when we do, we just continue to have our faith in God, put our trust in Him, and know that what we're doing, when we know that He's called us to do something, that it's going to turn out for good if we follow Him wholeheartedly and just follow in His footsteps and the path that He has for us. And so it was a great experience. The knowledge I gained, it was just amazing. So the knowledge gained was great when it came to, and people who are in worship or music may know what this is, but when it came to, I learned how to band direct, I learned how to just to flow and some more spontaneous stuff. And so some of that knowledge when it came to, spontaneous worship and everything was really good to know. And I knew that it would be valuable information to take going forward into whatever God had next. And so after I graduated from that Bible school, I moved states again, reconnected with family, and joined another worship team at a church, which that was cool. It was really, really, really cool getting to be back in music again, because I had been without being on a worship team for several months, and so I was starting to miss it. I was like, after leaving the the Bible school where I was, I kind of got off where I left that worship team, and then it had been several months since I had last played worship, and so being back on a worship team was nice at this new location. And even that was another comfort zone thing, because I feel like I had kind of gotten out of the habit, the routine of stepping out, and so doing it again and being back on piano was something that it was like, oh, like just at the beginning, it was pretty tempting to be like, oh, this feels uncomfortable, and then I just had to remind myself, God, this is what God's been training me to do throughout my whole life. Let's just do it. And so we just hopped in and did it. And so it's been such a good experience. The relationships I've built through the music, this worship team now, and just the experiences that we've had, man, I don't take that for granted. It's just been so good. And what's ironic though is that another comfort zone thing was coming that I had no idea about upon joining this worship team. And that's when it came to spontaneous worship. In case you don't know what spontaneous worship is, usually at churches, worship teams, they have a set number of songs planned. They have, we're gonna finish this song, we're gonna finish this song, we're gonna finish this song. But sometimes just the Holy Spirit will start moving, the band will just start flowing, just playing something that we didn't plan for at all. The singers will launch into some song that we didn't plan for at all. Sometimes it's a song that the singer is writing on the spot and we're making it up as we go. And that's spontaneous worship. And so that's something that I had learned, but I hadn't really experienced too much when it came to music. So they said it pretty much right off the bat. They were like, so we do spontaneous worship quite a bit. Are you okay with that? And immediately on the inside, the mom was like, no, we're not, we cannot do that. That's uncomfortable. It's been a while since we've stepped out. I'd rather continue that streak, that pattern. Let's go for a record here, because we need to stop this. This is not good. But I was like, no, God told me. God has led me to do this, has led me to this moment. He's trained me through these things, and so we can do this. And so I was like, yeah, we're okay with that. And guys, it's been such a great experience. It's been being a part of these worship teams and these worship moments where the Lord, that you can tell that He's just moving in the service, that you guys are not up there just playing music, just playing songs. You're up there for a reason, and what you're doing, what God is doing through you, is ministering to the congregation. And it's ministering to the worship team as well. And so it's been such a cool experience just being a part and letting God do what He wants to do in these services. So as we wrap this up here today, that's just some of my testimony. I shared quite a bit about the comfort zone thing. And so, before we get off here, I just want to encourage you that when God calls you to do something, and I've already said this in the video, but I just want to reinstate it. When God calls you to do something, just want to encourage you, just step out and do it. No matter how challenging, no matter how impossible even it may seem in the moment, just know that God has got you. He's not going to lead you to something that's going to fail. You're not going to end up regretting what He wants you to do, because He's a good God. He's a God of abundance. He's a God who has great plans for us. And the whole time, even however hard it may seem in the moment, just know that he's always with you. He said that he'll never leave us or forsake us. And so that's why we just need to put our faith in Jesus and do what Jesus has wanted us to do, what he calls us to do. Because you'll be blessed by it, guys. You'll be blessed probably in more ways than you could even imagine. And not only will you be a blessing, but you'll also be able to be a blessing to others, because that's just how good God is. He blesses you, but he can also bless others through you as well. And so I just want to encourage you with this, guys, and just know that God, he'll always be there by your side when you're following him, and that when he calls you to do something, just step outside the comfort zone. Be willing to do what's challenging, because at the end of the day, you'll be able to look back and say, I'm proud that I did what God has asked me to do. And I know that where I would be right now, the way I'm blessed right now, the great experiences I have right now, are because I did what God has asked me to do.